story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Welcome to WTF Saturday. So we're changing the name of our show. We're taking out the US and we're adding the Saturday because we film a show on Saturday, and also we just liked it better. And yeah,
because it's our show and we can do what we want.
We had a quick consensus, and it just kind of reminded me of like a show I used to watch when I was a kid. So
and because we found out that there are other countries.
Yeah, we just don't want to be limited to talking about the U.S. So joining us for our first time. Yeah, I mean, it was a little aggressive. Maybe, we're feeling a little more.
WTF us was what I
Yeah,
thought.
WTF us. Right. So, yeah, so we're feeling a little less hostile. Saturday is a little more mellow, so we're just going to go there. And
unless you're hungover.
It could be very mellow if you're hungover. Yeah, depending on, how aggravated your liver is. But anyway, so welcome to the first time with our new show, with our new name, WTF Saturday. I'm Rachel. This here's Ariel. We've got John and Dirk and Tolly. And we're all awesome people with somewhat different perspectives, with the common-hearted goal in wanting to discuss things that matter to us and hopefully matter to you, our viewers and friends who join us checking out what we all talk about. And we're trying to bring relevant things that are important to people in the world and in our country into like a conversation that's more in the middle, because the media that we all tend to be able to consume normally is often very extreme. And so kind of trying to remind people that most people are good, and we're some of them, and hopefully they are too. If you're not good, stop watching now.
Or prepare to take notes.
We'll take the bad people.
Yeah, keep watching. You can transform at any time. And I think we have been talking about, this week, today, we're going to talk about what's been going on in the news with Trump and Mar-a-Lago and all these classified documents. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming elections and voting, and we'll carry on some of our conversations that we've had in the previous weeks, which are cool and relevant, even though they were last week and the week before. So feel free to check them out. And so anyone have any poignant bits to share from their week?
There was an op-ed, I guess, in the Review Journal. So I don't know exactly what's going on out there because I didn't read it because I didn't want to die. And I guess there's something going on, though, with ranked voting, which I think Ariel keeps talking about ranked voting.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just caught my eye. And it was shared by some group called Nevada Policy, and it said it says voting shouldn't be this confusing.
Oh no.
And yeah, so anyway, I think Alex and I both agreed that if you find ranked choice voting confusing,
probably shouldn't be voting.
Well, no, everybody's allowed to vote.
That
but
if
you think that ranked choice voting is confusing, you should know that according to the Americans with Disabilities Act and the whatever voters thing, like there are people at all polling locations who are prepared to assist people like you.
That's great. That's fantastic.
I think that's funny, though, that somebody would think that ranked voting is difficult. They'd rather just have you either vote for dumb or dumber.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's just if you have
people with mental disabilities might find that confusing, and there are people there to assist you, or you can how you can designate somebody to help you vote at home. And yeah, so yeah, if you have that sort of a disability, they're prepared to help you.
That's
But yes, also if you find that to be confusing, maybe you don't want to make big decisions.
I think it was Alaska that just implemented it for the first time, and I'm thrilled to see it finally picking up steam.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with that in Nevada, but I'm interested.
Me too.
Yeah, I'll have to try to track that down. I did not see that article.
I didn't see it either, but I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, I think that's pretty it's pretty awesome that there's support, and also that ranked voting is being put out there as something that would be awesome for people to do, because it would just be better. It would be a big improvement for our voting system.
I wish people
If
would
we
not
still have
try
a
to
voting
make it
system
sound
after
like
this
it's
next election.
confusing.
Well, and I mean, I'm sure that there'll be lots of pushback against it, but I think, if we are looking, like, if we do want to look at how we can actually motivate people to vote, then allowing,
But,
yeah,
like,
that's the
why?
biggest thing, allowing them to vote for someone that they actually want rather than just turd sandwich.
Why? Yes, turd sandwich or giant douche.
I mean, you explain
Like-
ranked voting. It's like, you know what? You can vote for who you want, and then you can put your second pick as turd sandwich safe pick. And if the person you want doesn't get enough votes, your vote will just go to turd sandwich, who you liked better than the worst turd sandwich, but not quite enough to have to vote for him if you had two picks.
The thing that
And if
convinced
people find
me,
it confusing, they can still just put one choice.
yeah,
And you don't have to rank all of the candidates.
the thing that convinced me that ranked voting is the way to go is Sarah Palin got blown out of the water. I mean, she didn't even rank. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I mean, it's so to
What
me
was she
that
running
was
for?
enough. What's
What
that?
was she running for again?
She was running for the Senate of Alaska.
Yeah, that woman's something else, man.
Yeah.
I mean, she's great for memes.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm somewhat
I-
terrified of her being in politics, but I saw some ad for like a vegan barbecue once, I think, just with her with like in a bikini with like a assault
Oh,
rifle
yeah,
and
that's an
American
old one.
flags and eagles and like she makes for some great Americana.
Yeah,
But I
we had a
definitely don't want
senator-
her in politics.
We
was one
had a
I
Republican senator leave the party
What's that?
Yeah, I saw that.
in Colorado, a state
Oh, yeah.
senator.
Did
But
he
we'll take what we
switch?
can get. Yeah,
He became Democrat
he did
because he didn't want to support the extremism that's become the
because
norm
of
in
the
the
Trump
Republican.
situation. Yeah,
I
but
think that's really
unfortunately,
awesome.
unfortunately, there was a poll. Like, God, I don't know. I was watching like MSNBC or CNN or something shitty, but anyway, they were talking about a poll. They asked Republicans if they identified more with the party or Trump, and 41% said Trump, which didn't surprise me, except that it's up 7% from before the Mar-a-Lago raid.
Well, because it's like you have to, the Mar-a-Lago raid was another, all these things that happen are kind of like another line in the sand. And it's like, okay, you're with me or you're against me, and it's getting more intense. And so it's either going to push people away or pull them in. And people that might have been in the middle and weren't saying much, they probably just had to step across that line. And I mean, we've talked about it before, like, why are people doubling down?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's jumping off that cliff, and I'm already in the line, so I guess I have to jump too.
Yeah.
There's no turning around now. It's like, a lot of these people are just, and I think
Ignorant.
it's sad because I had the privilege of watching some Fox News when I was home with my family, and not because they're into it, but just because we like to watch all the news to see what's going on. And it's like the things that, they had the people camped out at Mar-a-Lago with their signs and like supporting Trump. And it's like, those people believe that the Democratic Party has co-opted the FBI and the Department of Justice, even though those are people that have been appointed by Trump himself, a lot of them, and that the president shouldn't, even though it did in the Trump administration, control what the Department of Justice did. Typically, it shouldn't. And so they're thinking that it's more of the same of what they did, that Biden is pushing the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate him out of like political vengeance, and to destroy his campaign in the future, and that it's politically motivated versus actually motivated by severe threats to national security because of what these documents were, and that he was illegally having them at his place. But the people don't
let's
think
not lose
that.
let's not lose track of one basic fact about Trump. Trump has lived his entire life in exactly this way, is always making it look like if you come after him, then you're a bad guy, and finding a way to make you look like you're a bad guy, because that's what con men do. They have to put you in a position to where anything that you do that's against them makes you a bad guy. And that's what he set up all these years. And he definitely started doing this shit even before he won the election. He started saying this shit.
Yeah.
You know,
It's just,
if you
it's
guys don't,
interesting.
if I don't win the election, it's because you guys screwed over me.
Yeah, it's just interesting because like Democrats were able to openly like not back Hillary or not vote for Hillary and be like very open about that. But as a Republican, you don't have that freedom.
I
I would like to know what would have happened if James Comey hadn't leaked that bullshit out about the emails.
Yeah,
that would have been really fascinating to find out.
I seriously believe that he cost her the election, cost the Democrats the election.
Yeah, and he did it on purpose. So
yeah,
I think the Democrats cost the Democrats the election by.
I agree with that too.
Jamming Hillary down people's throats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that we have a progressive, actually a progressive president, all the corporate centrists, that's like the worst nightmare. And I've even talked to a lot of people that think like having Bernie up there because he's so extremely progressive, even though it's a lot of what the people want, that he wouldn't have really been able to get any majority to support him because they're all corporate sponsored.
and that's what people forget. It's like, it does matter who's sitting in the White House, but without the support of Congress, there's only so much that you can do. And if you don't have that support, then you're kind of like, you've got a leash on you that you can only get out so far and get so much done. That's where local politics are more important than the national politics. Our city councils, our board of supervisors, our school district, the Secretary of State, those are all extremely important offices for us to be voting for.
Do you think that if Congress is corrupted by corporate interests and corporate money, though, then to get anything done, the president has to be aligned with those interests, meaning also generally be a corporate shill?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Yeah.
So if Congress is generally corrupted by corporate interests and corporate money, and you're saying that to get anything done, the president needs the approval of Congress, does that mean that the president's perspective and goals have to be aligned with Congress, which is to say corrupted by corporate interests and corporate money?
No. But he could still only get so much done.
I think it's that. Yeah.
It's if he's okay, so if he's aligned with corporate greed and the corporate structure and all of that, that's what we had in the last administration.
Well, and I think like with Bernie and with, it's like the Progressive Party's ideas about the changes that we need are compared to what we're not used. I mean, I fully agree with progressive ideas. I think that it would be great if we taxed corporations and actually made them pay their fair share and redistributed wealth to some extent and supported public education more and done more things for real people of this country and less things for corporations, and stop giving these huge tax write-offs to corporations and looking at that as like those aren't handouts, but like we're not going to give poor people anything, and to just balance it a bit and to end monopolies and to make it so that these oil companies can't pretty much like raise the prices of common goods because they have a monopoly. Like there's Progressive Party ideas that AOC and Bernie, they're not going to compromise on those ideas.
Okay,
You know, so I think they're too
question.
extreme. You know, like where.
But if you don't have those extreme ideas, we will never head in that direction. Because if we didn't have people like that are pulling and pulling and pulling, and we will get there one step at a time.
Yeah, but the thing that makes those things happen is that like Biden might want those things too, but he's able to negotiate to get half of them or to get a of them.
That's
Where
my
Bernie,
point.
I don't think would have ever. You know, they're not going to negotiate. They're like, we
Right.
want all of it or nothing.
Right.
Sorry, Tali, what's your...
But we still
Okay,
need
for
those
Democrats-
people pushing for that.
I have a question. For Democrats, do you think that being called an extremist is like off-putting? Do you want to be called a moderate? Like, do you want to stay away from being called an extremist, or people who are called extremists like Bernie and AOC, like, versus like, I don't think that offends Republicans, and I don't think that Republicans are trying to stay away from that.
They don't care. And,
I don't think they're not marketing themselves as extremists.
Right.
But they are starting to be called extremists.
They don't care.
And but people think that that's a good idea. People think that calling them extremists and everything like will sort of like it sounds similar to like Muslim extremists and so on, and that like they won't like that, so keep calling them extremists, keep referring to them
so
as
white
extremists.
Christian nationalism is extreme, and
Right.
I think the reason why they have such a big following is because they're white Christian nationalists,
Right.
and they
I
like
don't
that,
think
and that's what's
yeah.
bringing them people, you know.
I don't think that they care. I don't think that like offends them, or like,
No, it's a badge of honor for them.
yeah, but do you think that is something that Democrats want to stay away from, and therefore are less likely to vote for somebody like Bernie Sanders?
I think that's an individual thing.
I think a lot of Democrats want to avoid that because they're looking for someone who they think is electable and has broad appeals. They're looking for more of a centrist, which to a lot of the people who might otherwise be looking to vote, or who might otherwise be willing to vote Democrat, just looks like another bullshit corporate shill.
Here's the problem.
So I think
with
the
all
desire
this.
to like have a moderate centrist and avoid this sort of this tag of extremism, the Democratic Party ends up losing a lot of the youth vote, and a lot of people just
A lot of the youth vote, you think?
I don't think Bernie and I don't think the progressives are extreme compared to what most people that are in our age group and younger in this country want. But
Okay.
it's considered extreme to what the politics used to be.
The Republican Party back in the 40s and 50s and early 60s was about as left-wing extremist as the Democrats are today.
Yeah.
And I mean their platforms. I mean, Eisenhower was the one that got the interstate highway system built. You know,
And I think we're trying to find a new middle.
Yeah,
Like right now.
But a new middle today is right wing 30, 40 years ago. You know, I mean, the right has shifted so far to the right that just to be in the middle, you're still on the right.
No, I mean, I think that you got to look at the majority of people. Like, I don't really think that the majority of people are as extreme as the Trumpies, even though they get a lot of media play, right? That's what the media makes it look like. But everything shows that most Americans are still kind of in the middle because the Republicans have moved more extreme. A lot of people have been like, that's scary. Let's go a little bit this way. And what the Democrats once were has kind of shifted over, and there's more room here now for the progressives to come in and be like, actually, we're actually moderate compared to like what people want. The Democrats need to become what the old Republicans were, and the progressives need to step in and be what the Democrats were. And the crazy extreme racists need to get the hell out of the
But what you're talking about basically is a really big difference in philosophies, because when you look at it, the Democratic Party is supposedly all these different people that are looking for the best deal for the most Americans
Right.
across a wide goal. The Republicans are not about that. They're all about a couple of focus points, and that's where they stay. And
Right.
that's
Hooray
where they
for me
attract
and
their
fuck
people.
you.
So you have this kind of a diffused philosophy amongst the Democrats, and you have this focused laser beam, we're going to do this bullshit from the Republicans, and that makes the difference.
Yeah. I mean,
I
the worst part about it, though, is that the Republicans are like, we're the Federalist Society. Our goal is to take away. I mean, it's not all the Republicans either, but like, you know, what the Republican Party has become under Trump. It's like, we want to take away all regulations for all corporations and all taxes for all corporations. We want rich people to have a free for all, and we want poor people to have nothing. This is our goal. And we want to take away people's rights. We want to take away Black people's rights. We want to take away women's rights. We want to turn this back into 1850s America. Let's go. You know, and it's like, but that's not what they're saying they're doing, which is misleading so many people that like they come out and they're like, we're fighting for the normal American. And it's like, no, actually you're not at all. But the media is so good that they're getting away with, like, they're getting votes because people think that they're out there helping them and they're not. And I think that's getting exposed. I mean, I feel like we were just talking about, you know, voting and Democrats maybe getting an upper hand finally in their strategy, because the Republicans have just had better strategy at pushing their messaging and lying to people. And I think finally, at least what Trump did was be like, this is absolutely crazy. And a lot of people are like, maybe it is kind of crazy. And now it's like you have people like Fetterman kind of like leading the way and like, look at this. Dr. Oz comes into Pennsylvania from a place where he doesn't live. He's backed by the full might of the Republican Party's funding, which is billions of dollars that have been allowed to be donating by single interest people to support the Federalist Society agenda within the Republican Party. And they're just pouring money into the Senate race in Pennsylvania because the Senate race right now is so valuable for what's going to happen in the next 4 years in this country. And it's like, Fetterman is like, look at this guy. He doesn't live here. He's not in, he comes in and he's saying all these things, but he's lying. He's lying, and this is exactly how he's lying. And here's video clips of him lying. And he's not Pennsylvanian. He doesn't have your best interests in mind. Like, I'm from here. I want to support real people like you. I'm telling the truth. This guy's a douchebag. And like, that's pretty much his campaign, and it's working.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and not enough Democrats are pretty much being like, hey, we've all seen it now. This is some bullshit. Check it out. Don't vote for this guy. He's a con. You know, and I really feel like more, and also showing like the good things that people are actually doing that could actually represent us in a way that they'd actually represent us.
But I've always thought that the Democrats had a really big issue as far as PR is concerned. We've handled that so poorly the last 2 or 3 decades. It's almost embarrassing, you know, because if you can go around and you can get, you know, we were talking about Sarah Palin, but Sarah Palin actually looks like a amazing bomb-ass politician when you compare her to Boebert or Taylor Greene. I mean, they're not just stupid, they're just fucking mean. And I just find it amazing that you can't find a Democratic candidate running against her that could say, look at the shit that she's saying. Is this what you want in some way? Is this what you want to represent America? Are you fucking kidding me? And we don't do that. We pussyfoot around everything, and we just give them a chance to steamroll us every fucking time. Well, I shouldn't say us, but
no, we need to call it out.
Yeah.
Like and political funding, like funding political advertisements is a way that really like should sidestep the media, who's like just spinning all this division. You know, like it should be a way that people could get the message out about what's going on.
right.
Did you guys hear the Lauren Boebert 911 calls?
No.
I think it was like a week and a half ago.
Do tell.
Oh, it was like all of her neighbors calling 911 because
Oh, wait. She got swatted, right?
no.
Wasn't that Marjorie
That
Taylor
was
Greene
Marjorie
got
Taylor
swatted
Greene.
twice?
Yeah, I saw the
in a
first
week?
time, and I saw that it happened a second time, but I don't know anything about it. But Lauren Boebert's kids are just total pieces of shit, I guess. And so there are like multiple 911 tapes of like just like her kids like driving their like fancy like go-karts that go like like however fast, that is like super not safe. And then like so like people trying to get the kids to slow down, and then her husband like threatening the neighbors and like running over mailboxes. And yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a good role model.
But you can just tell from the 911 tapes, like this happens all the time.
They're at it
And-
again, running over our mailboxes. Send somebody out. Like,
yeah, and like the 911 operators, like, oh no, I don't know who that is. Like, no, never heard of them.
And I saw a meme here in the last couple of days that showed that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert are the least educated people in the entire Congress. They
made that very
not a
clear.
surprise.
yeah, and Boebert has been arrested more times than all of the black people in Congress combined, and all of the, it was just showing how many times she's been arrested, as opposed to, like the entire Congress and all of this.
Do we have black Congress people who've been arrested?
I don't
I'd be
believe so.
shocked.
I don't. Well, wait. We had one guy a couple years back. Maybe he was city councilman. Anyway, never mind.
Oh no, most of us have been arrested at least once.
Yeah. You mean while in office?
No, just in our lives. Like,
I mean,
Well, a lot of
Yeah, a couple
a lot of
times,
them
yeah.
have been arrested because of civil disobedience,
Right.
like protests and stuff like that. So
Right. Yeah, like John
if
Lewis.
you're black and you've
Yes.
been arrested previously and you managed to get elected, like
you'd be pretty badass.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
normally doesn't happen.
Well, wait. Okay, so look at Pennsylvania, right? Fetterman's ahead in the polls. Here's a guy who just had a fucking stroke a few months ago, and people are more willing to vote for somebody who's had a stroke than Oz. So that might tell you
he's
something.
a real person, like who, is honest about his life. Oz is he's a TV personality con man.
Yeah.
And so it's like
Sounds
Just
familiar.
like the former
Yeah, we
president.
should vote for him. We saw
Yeah.
it work the last time.
I was
I mean,
just gonna
I'd
say,
rather-
he figured it worked once, maybe it'll work twice.
he's too smarmy.
I'd rather have a stroke than vote for Dr. Oz.
Yeah, it's a bad. I mean,
Ringing
like,
endorsement.
I think that like, it's one decent thing is like some of the parties both obviously are like somewhat out of touch with what real people perceive.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that standing on principle and policy will actually ultimately be a successful tactic, or do we just need to roll with the times and figure out what TV personality can represent our interests so that we get people who are just interested in voting for a hot reality, like a hot TV star? Like, we need The Rock to go up against Donald Trump or
Where's the
Israel.
hot one?
I think
Yeah,
at
we need
some
like a
point
Democrat
that
Ronald
is-
Reagan.
I think at some point that's going to blow up in our face. However, the problem is, have we gone too far in that direction for it to matter anymore? Because we're electing people. We're putting ourselves in a position where every sociopath and narcissist can look at politics as a way to get over and get stuff done that they want to do for their own agenda. It's like it's getting to be the perfect job. Like it used to be the corporates, they said corporations have the most psychopaths as CEOs and stuff. Now it's getting to be politicians. Politicians,
I've interviewed almost every politician in Nevada. I've interviewed almost everyone who's run in the last however many years. And it, like, I don't know, this came up the other day, and like, yeah, it's bored housewives and guys who don't want to work.
I have two.
Wow.
And
I have a
Maybe
couple
I
of
should go into
solutions for that.
politics.
Number one, get the fucking money out of politics, right? I
Yep.
mean, here's how much you've
But
got.
the
This
people
is how
that
much
we
you've got
voted
for your
for have to
campaign.
do it.
Here's how much you get for your campaign. All right, you get the same. You get the same. You get the same. You get the same.
Yeah, but how
how
do we
does-
do that?
yeah.
We need to vote for people who will shoot themselves in the foot for the greater good to make it
No.
fair.
I understand.
How do we make that happen?
I understand.
We actually have to vote for good people, which is, I think, why our local elections are super important.
Right.
Especially if the extreme right retakes the Senate in this upcoming midterm elections and they pass what the Supreme Court is wanting to do, to let state legislatures determine the results of the Electoral College for themselves rather than the popular vote in their states. Like, state legislatures at that point are going to become incredibly important, and they're also gerrymandered, that the chances that they would become fair are like kind of impossible. And so it's like, this election is so important, like beyond important.
So that's why we need to eat the rich.
Did you just see that one of the was it the Supreme Court? Our Supreme Court was saying that Georgia, one of their districts had been gerrymandered, and so they ruled it no good.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it was Georgia.
So why? I mean,
I think you're
do you
right.
think the people on the Supreme Court are like? Do you think at some point they're like, well, we got this job for life? I mean, because there must be some benefit. Why do they have the job for life? They can't be removed. Do you think at some point they're like, wow, you know what? We got this job for life. We're sitting pretty. Maybe we need to drop our promises to these crazy people that put us in here and actually do what's right, because like our names being shitty for the next 40 years in terms of justice in our country. Like, do you think they actually have a conscience and they're like, oh wow, we actually could do something?
I think
No,
from
but I think what's starting to happen is that for the first time in our history, Supreme Court justices are starting to fear for their safety and their lives, because we are seeing more and more people pushing back and instances of people confronting them in public.
Well,
So-
I think that's part of it. I also think part
Right.
of it is the fact that with the media and everybody's access to media, they're being really reviled. And no matter what your beliefs are, you don't want to be part of what is considered one of our most amazing institutions in this country, and you're going to be one of the people that was picked on as being one of the ones to fuck it up.
Right.
well, if I suddenly gave you a job for life, like you're just set for life. I don't know about your friends and family except that guy and your dad, who seems like he's doing okay. But like, you're gonna have friends and family saying, "Hey, Rachel,
What the hell?
yeah, hook it up."
Or do the right thing. I mean, so yeah, it's like if the Supreme Court is actually going to strike down gerrymandering in Georgia, which is like, they've pretty much done everything at this point to take away people's rights. So I think that's actually like
That's what I say. It's starting to turn.
them.
It's like, okay, we've gotten away with this. Wait a minute. If we get one more thing wrong here, we're going to be in deep shit.
Yeah, but I will say this: when you look at some of the subjects that they have ruled on that were complete shit shows, and you look at this, most of those things that they have ruled on that were shit shows have religious roots. Gerrymandering does not have a religious roots. So I think, I mean, there's a possibility that maybe they were able to actually give a decent ruling on it because it has to do with the fucking law and not religion.
Well, I think that
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that all of their decisions seem like most of their decisions seem to have an ideological bent. But I kind of can't help but think about, like, you know, do you want, should they be making laws based on the impact that those laws will have, or should they, or sorry, they're not making laws, really. I mean, should they be making rulings based on the impact that they think those rulings should have, or should they be trying to do an unbiased interpretation of the law and the Constitution as it's written? Because there, I mean, I can't help but, I should read more into this, but particularly with the abortion case, obviously their ruling had a massive detrimental impact. From a legal perspective, I'm not sure if I can say that it was entirely wrong as far as the rights not specifically mentioned in the Constitution being left up to the states. Like, that seems like it might legally be the correct interpretation. A horrible ruling in its ultimate effects, but is their job to be making decisions that they think will be benefiting the people, or is their job to make an unbiased interpretation of things as they're written?
Well, the problem is that even when they're, I understand what you're saying, and yes, I agree with that, but by the same token, I also feel like they are trying to read into what the founders put in the Constitution, even though they said it was a living document. If it's a living fucking document, then that means it is supposed to evolve over time. You cannot go back to just the beginning when a lot of the stuff that they're talking about now did not even exist.
Well, so if it's a living document that's evolving over time, though, then shouldn't we, if we encounter something like that, then shouldn't we change the Constitution to, like, shouldn't we have the...
That's what the amendments are for.
That's right.
So we should have an amendment that guarantees women's rights to choose, but as it's...
And they tried to make one, right? But it was not supported.
If
the House passed that, right?
What's that?
Didn't the House make, like, they were like, okay, well, the next thing to do then is to make an amendment that gives all the people right to have an abortion, but that didn't fly.
It didn't make it through the Senate.
Yeah, they did try to do that.
Right. But and that's part of it, is if the Supreme Court makes a decision that is not to the benefit of the public in general, then it's up to our elected officials to make that change to the law or the Constitution or whatever. And that's, I mean, you see the Democrats trying to do that, but the Republicans are fighting it tooth and nail. They don't want it. And it's just like, Dirk, I don't want to see you do anything good because then I might not be able to get to do this. And that's the whole fucking philosophy right there in a nutshell. We can't do anything that makes you look good. And
I find it very fascinating that we have these issues that are coming up that the Republicans are supporting or trying.
But the public is not.
But trying to put the roadblock in front of all these things. But the fascinating thing to me is that the states that are giving us the most trouble are still the states that were in the fucking Civil War. And we went through all this shit to get them to get in line and act like everybody else. And now they're still doing the same shit. They're just doing it in a different way. They're gerrymandering districts so they can get their people in Senate and in Congress. And so they can basically usurp everything and then say, no, you got to send it back to the states, send it back to the same fucking states to do the same shit all over again. It's like fighting the Civil War through politics. That's basically what it is.
Well, I mean, have you ever lost at a game that you were really passionate about? You're not like, oh, well, I guess you win forever. You're like, oh man, I'm going to get you next time, or I'm going to study up on how to, like, get the win back because I never wanted you to win in the first place. And I mean,
yeah, but if
the difference between Republicans and Democrats is actually it's pretty simple, because when you sit there and you look at some of the things that it's like in crime, okay? What do criminals do? They think about how to fuck over you 24/7. They're gonna figure out how to get your lunch money. They're gonna figure out how to break into your house and steal your valuables. They're gonna figure out how to con you out of your cash. They're thinking about this 24/7. Democrats don't do that.
Well, the thing about it is,
the
though,
difference.
Yeah, I agree
they're
with you
talking
there.
about it as though these men are actually really passionate about abortion, which they're not. Not at all. The
No, they're
Republican Party
passionate about
was
getting reelected.
completely for abortion. Ronald Reagan legalized abortion in California. All of these people were pro-abortion. Even like the Southern Baptists and whatever they're called. Anyway, totally fully pro-abortion. These are the people who legalized abortion. It wasn't until the 80s that they changed their minds after this big meeting with Jerry Falwell and all of these other people who actually previously supported abortion and wanted some sort of way to
Control women.
And to control voters who were religious
Yeah,
in the South. That's
just
all
that.
it was. It had nothing to do with
I agree.
actual abortion. They
I agree
decided,
with
let's
you.
fire people up about this because we're not having as easy a time anymore firing people up about segregation.
But that's their
That
I
was
agree with
all
you
it
100%.
was.
But that's
was their
another
issue.
big difference between these two groups, and that is that Democrats are trying to do shit for everybody or get shit done, and they are looking for ways of solidifying and keeping their power. So even if they don't agree with whatever it is, they're going to go along with it because, you know, they may not agree with Trump in the beginning. A lot of those politicians hated his guts. But man, as soon as they found out, well, we can get votes from that, they jumped right on that fucking bandwagon.
Well, schools that were continuing segregation were no longer able to get funding from the government. And they were, like, for a while, they managed to have that like be their issue. But as it continued going, people in this country didn't really support that. And so these politicians were having trouble getting support. And so they had to pick a new issue.
Yeah,
That
how
was
do we
the
get?
issue
How
that
do
they
we
went
keep
with.
our base?
That
Gun.
was the issue they went with, was
Abortion.
abortion, when previously none of them were against abortion. Like, these are the same people who legalized it.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. It's like the people, like if you're just strategizing, if you're like rich corporate fucks trying to control everything in this country, you're like, how do we get people to vote for this? How do we get people to vote for the upper 1% when it's pretty much none of them? Like we need to put all our energy, all of our investment, all our money in figuring out how to keep getting people manipulated enough to keep voting for us. We own the media, we own a bunch of stuff. Let's try to like put our energy in that. And I get it. Like in Democrats, for the most part, like a lot of them still backed by corporate interests, and they're accepting that money. But there's a feeling to it that they're actually also trying to get something done. And like the progressives within that party are trying to get a lot more done. And they're also exposing, I think, like really the best Democrat strategy that's out there is Bernie's strategy, is AOC's strategy. Expose what these people are actually doing and not doing, and how it actually benefits or screws real people. Because like it's that, you know, because it's like political advertisement is on every station. Like whether you're watching Fox News,
Constantly.
NBC, there's political ads up. And so like if Democrats are putting political ads in between Fox News commercials, those Fox News viewers are actually getting to watch something other than Fox News for a minute during that 15-second commercial. So educate them about what the hell's going on. Like use that airtime and that money to teach people about what's going on that don't normally get to see it because they're watching the brainwash station all the time.
Do you think that the more effective strategy, though, is ultimately going to be going after those Republican Trump voters, or trying to inspire all of the people who might otherwise be voting Democrat if they didn't feel so disillusioned and have no
both.
faith in the Democratic Party.
Independence. Yeah.
And I think the more people that that come away from the whole like being manipulated thing to see what's going on, like those people are going to start, like if 90% of the country starts voting for Democrats, then all of a sudden you have corporate Democrats and progressives. And then liberal people that are progressive are going to be more inspired to be like, holy shit, almost nobody is voting for the Nazi party anymore, because that's nuts. And then maybe like, more votes will go towards a variety of different, more liberal candidates that actually benefit the interests of most people in this country. Because like technically, like if you want to benefit yourself and your family, you should vote for things that benefit yourself and your family and people like you. And I think if people knew that they're voting for isn't going for that, they'd be like, huh, we thought it was, man, hopefully like we got duped. And it seems like what's because people are superficial. Like people like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian and like, everyone, it's just like, so if people think that the trendy thing to do and the popular thing to do and the people getting the laughs, and I think Fetterman versus Oz is such a good example of this, because Fetterman made it popular to be people like him. He made it funny. He made fun of people like Oz. He called out their shortcomings, and people are like, I like that guy. He looks like he's cool. And so people want to be identified with the thing that looks cool. I know it's super shallow, but like.
But this is I agree with you. I think this is one of the reasons why I get so annoyed with what's going on now with the Democratic Party, because you guys have noticed now that you don't hardly hear anything about Bernie Sanders anymore. But whether I agree with his principles or not, the one thing I loved about Bernie Sanders was that, first place, his solutions or his ideas were very well thought out. There was some brain power behind them. And secondly, he called out those fucking Republicans every chance he got. He was in their shit. And now he's been basically minimized. You don't hardly hear anything about him or from him at all.
Well, I mean, I have Twitter, and like he's on my Twitter feed every day. I follow him. He has a lot of followers.
Yeah.
So do a bunch of other progressives. And he's every single day he's saying his ideas every single day.
And he's been
so
doing
he is
that
out there. It's just, you got to find him and support him.
He's been doing that for over 40 years.
Promoting that.
Yeah, the party should be promoting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was I'm telling you, out of all the people
They
that
don't
we
like
had,
him.
he was our best representative as far as calling out Republicans on their shit. He was in their ass all the time, and all the stuff that he said was true, and it was devastating to him. And when I agree with what Ariel
he's
said,
spoken out. Why aren't they giving him a platform?
and her little plan to make herself the first woman president fucked us up, because Bernie probably should have won that nomination.
And it's like my sister said, they don't like him. And when you've got someone like Bernie Sanders who inspires the younger voters, inspires a lot of people who feel disenfranchised and screwed over, and like the whole Democratic Party is a bunch of bullshit, and then the Democratic Party says, oh, he doesn't represent us, then all of these people who are on board with his message is like, well, fuck you. You don't represent us either then. We're not going to vote for you. So, as long as the Democratic Party excludes that sort of voice, they're going to continue to lose all of those votes who actually want someone who will represent them and have a backbone and try to get good things done.
So let's talk about that for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
So all of the people who wanted Bernie Sanders to get elected, and they decide, well, he's not going to be our candidate. I mean, they're not going to make him our candidate, so we're just not going to vote. Which is actually
vote for a third party.
It's
candidate.
actually a vote for the other side, and a vote
They
for
write
the
in
third
Bernie
party
Sanders.
is a vote for the other side.
It's a vote for the other side, or it's expressing your dissatisfaction with the choice between whatever it was.
Giant
sandwich
turd
and
sandwich.
And expressing your dissatisfaction is stupid in that particular case, because by saying, okay, well, fuck it, I can't get my way, so I'm just not going to play.
Trump got elected.
That's fucking A Skippy. And if
Okay,
you had had those people, if you had those people that said, okay, you know what, yeah, he didn't get in this time, but at least we're making a step in the right direction. Fuck these people over there. I'm still going to vote Democratic. It would have been a whole different story back then. I believe.
It
But
really-
then
And it's just that we have given that fucking. I'm all for individuality and you know, be yourself and follow your beliefs, but you also have to face reality, and that's what we do not do.
I mean, Trump made the shit hit the fan more than it ever has. It exposed the underbelly crap of this whole system more than anything ever did. And Hillary would have been more of the same. And it wouldn't have shone the light on it.
And it would have reinforced the Democratic Party that they can continue ramming the same bullshit candidates down the voters' throats without consequence.
If Trump is not the candidate for the Republican Party in the next elections, will they vote?
Yeah, they're gonna get. I think they're gonna get DeSantis.
Yeah, I do
He's
too.
smarter than Trump, and he's gonna. Yeah, I think people will vote. Especially, I mean, I think they're gonna have to get. And this will be the tough thing. Like, if Trump is just too trashed from this Mar-a-Lago thing to vote because he's indicted, because he's a criminal, which is very possible that that's happening. He's gonna have to come out and say, vote for him. And I don't know if he's capable.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. He
might be ruined.
He will go all the way to handcuffs, saying, "I'm the one." You know, this is a witch
petty,
hunt.
vindictive, and delusional. So no.
So what do you think? Like,
I'm
you
more
think that they're
concerned
all
about.
going to
I'm
go
more
vote for
concerned about
someone
the
else?
violence that's going to occur if and when he gets prosecuted.
I mean,
Because I see that's going to happen. Pardon me?
Do people just go back under their rocks?
I don't
Like,
think so.
Oh my gosh! Like, I was such an idiot. I should hide now.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think they'll double down.
Yeah, they're too fucking
But double
stupid.
down for who?
A good percentage of them will double down because they
What do you
voted for him the
mean?
first time, and he was a piece of shit then. And if he gets arrested now, they're going to double down on that.
Yeah.
Oh, this the government.
Well, it just proves. It just
double
proves that the
down
deep
by-
state's after him, and that he's the only one who is willing to oppose the deep state and represent the people.
Double down by what,
Yes.
though?
Being assholes, idiots.
Yeah,
But if you don't have a leader
I don't know
anymore-
if it's going to be
Vindictive
violence
children.
or- I don't know.
What's that, Dirk?
I don't know if it's going to be violence or whatever, but I can guarantee you it won't be anything good.
Yeah.
You know, when Hitler fell, like, the Nazis went under rocks for a while. It's not like a new Hitler sprung up right away and everyone just followed him.
If they can convict Trump and they can make this stick,
They have to.
then I think these people will fucking go under their rocks eventually.
Yeah.
But until the process is done, they're going to be doubling down.
But what do you think they'll do in the next election, Dirk?
Are you talking about the general or the midterm?
I honestly.
No,
you're not talking about
I mean
this
the
year,
next
you're talking about
presidential
the next
election.
presidential election. I don't know. I'm not really sure DeSantis has as big a base as he seems to think he does, because there's a lot of people in Florida that can't stand him.
Yeah.
So, Dirk, as someone
he's not going to be able to have like Klan rallies in in a stadium.
Ariel, what?
As someone with experience with the legal system, if Trump gets charged, which fucking he better, and gets convicted, is there any chance whatsoever that he will just go to a normal prison, or does he just automatically have enough money and power that it'll be some sort of super comfy house arrest style where he still has all of his creature comforts and
access to media?
The only answer I can give you is probably yes. It could be any of that stuff. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't really fucking matter. If they are able to, if they're able to convict him, they've already done something that nobody else has been able to do, even though it's been obvious for years that he's been fucking over people, breaking the law, doing all kinds of shady shit and getting away with it. So if if New York can't get him, then hopefully the government will get him for this
Or Georgia.
violating the classified
Yes.
documents and shit. People, this is something else people don't understand. The information that he took out that has to do with human intelligence can very well have set our intelligence networks back billions of dollars and people in the hole. I mean, we're talking about people getting killed,
Dead people.
and systems that we have that are in place right now having to be scrapped because now they're useless because he's giving out information or possibly giving out information. And that's the other problem. The problem, we don't know what he did with that stuff, but you have to assume that he did something with it. Otherwise, your systems are compromised.
Has
And
anyone searched eBay
if
for
he
nuclear
gets,
codes recently?
What?
Has anyone searched eBay for nuclear codes recently?
I mean, the things that like, in that the thing that got them to issue the search warrant that they just let out this morning, right, Dirk? It was like the affidavit.
Yeah.
What was
but
it called?
it was also multiple witnesses that ratted him out.
This redacted
Yeah,
affidavit.
and that's the
What
funny
they
part
found
about
in it were highly classified documents, including some at the very most secret level of our intelligence department, spies and informants. And so it's like, if you have an intelligence department and you have operatives in every country, kind of like trying to figure stuff out that are undercover, and you give those names up, that compromises so many families, so many people's lives that
That's
dedicate.
what we're talking about. We're talking about people going to prison or getting killed.
No wonder they search. That is what he had. That's why they issued these search warrants, because they knew that that's what he had. They don't know what he's done with it, and it's very like the
really
extent of it
pisses
is
me
bad.
off,
It's also
what really
worth.
pisses me off with the people that are still digging in and trying to protect him and saying that the FBI overstepped their bounds and all this other kind of shit. They're totally forgetting the fact that the people that turned him in were his own fucking people.
Right.
His own people that were still patriotic enough to believe that what he was doing was damaging our country. These people were Republicans. These people were Trumpists at one time, and they are turning him in, and they don't see anything wrong.
And the head of the FBI, the current head of the FBI, was appointed by him.
Yeah.
Do we know if it was those people turning him in, or if it was potentially staff at Mar-a-Lago?
It was
It
people
doesn't matter.
turning him
Those are
in.
all Trump people.
Right.
Well, but I mean, I don't know if the cleaning person at Mar-a-Lago is necessarily going to be a Trump person.
I mean, what I'm reading here, it says that the National Archives and Records Administration told the Department of Justice that after 7 months of negotiations, on January 11th, it only had received 15 boxes of material that the Trump had. And they
Did you just call him the Trump?
The Trump had, and that they were in communication with them over months and months, trying to get these other boxes of information back, warning them that they had them, warning them that they weren't allowed to have them. It was the archivists that knew that they were missing documents. They knew what they were, and they refused to give them back after they requested them over and over and over again. They even requested that they were kept in a safe room. They were trying to, we need to do something to get these documents back, and they refused to give them back. They had months and months of warnings.
Right.
The names of agents and sources operating abroad that's so damaging and worth so much money to people who would want to know who's spying on their government, or
Yep.
This is like a power grab.
Well, some of the biggest problems that we
stay
ever
relevant,
had with Russia and China had to do with the fact that it was so, and in North Korea, had to do with the fact that it was so difficult for us to get people in those governments that were able to spy on us and get us information that we needed to have in a timely manner. And for this to be going on right now is, if those human resources, the human intelligence people are taken off the board, that's stuff that's irreplaceable. But if he also had any information in there about any of our systems, that's also irreplaceable, because you're talking some of these systems that we have that are billions of dollars, and you got to scrap the whole thing because you don't know if it's compromised or not. You got to basically start all over again and come up with something new.
This is sort of like Trump was a foreign spy in our executive office of our government.
I've been saying that for fucking years.
Manchurian
I've been saying that from the get-go. When he was messing around with the Russians, he's getting money from them. Before he even ran for president, I said there was a good possibility that he was being run by Putin. I've always felt that. Oh, and by the way, Ariel, I agree. I understand what you're saying, but if you knew anything about Trump's practices and how he hired people and how prejudiced and racially motivated a lot of that stuff was, you'd understand. You don't just get to be a regular person and get hired in Mar-a-Lago. That's not the way that shit works.
Mm.
And with that,
well, yeah.
Was it the Russians that he was like meeting with at Mar-a-Lago? Like
he had a
when he was
that
president,
was
like
directly
he was
connected to Putin in Trump Tower while he was running for president.
Yes.
A specific server that communicated directly with Putin in his house.
What?
I honestly
I mean, who doesn't?
This is one of the reasons why he kept going on and on about how much he admired Putin over the years,
right?
While he was in office, because he was trying to inure the American public into not understanding what he was doing, how devastating what he was doing, and how he was being a puppet. They made it. I mean, if you look at a lot of these people, they think it's cool for us to be in bed with the Russians now, even though that was like our blood enemy for years and years and years, and we're at war with them in numerous different places,
and even including what he's doing in the Ukraine.
Right.
You know.
Well, like the night before this, like some of the North Korea stuff was coming out the other day. Like I was watching something about about North Korea and about like the beginning of Trump's presidency when he was like meeting with Kim Jong-un and being like super buddy. And they were talking about Kim Jong-un would send him like handwritten notes because it's just what he does. Like it's just like their culture or whatever. He would send him these handwritten notes that would like address him as like excellency and stuff. And so he just loved that. Like he just ate it up. And so then like the next morning I had the news on and they were talking about him keeping notes from like keeping letters or whatever from Kim Jong-un. And I was just like,
sorry.
Love letters.
Hilarious.
Letters. That is funny.
Like it's totally fucked up and not okay, but it's hilarious. Like that totally like rubs his tummy, you know? Like
he called me excellency.
Yes. And he wrote it himself.
Oh my god, his hand touched this paper.
I wonder if he sealed it with a kiss.
I was just gonna say it had swack on the back of the envelope. You know, so.
Yes.
You know he was licking that.
Yeah.
Oh God, girl.
And with that, I think this Saturday's done for.
Awesome. See you next Saturday. WTF Saturday.
All right, you guys. See y'all next week.
Okay.
Any last minute words, not paragraphs, words?
Don't be a dick.
Mr.
That's
Dirk.
all I got.
That summed it up pretty good.
Yep.
Yes. Stop being a dick.
That's even better.
And vote, you stupid sons bitches.
Please.
That's it?
Please,
That's
excellency.
Okay.
Ariel, Rachel, you guys got anything to say?
Be nice, have fun, try not to die.
Try to
Look
educate
both
your friends and
ways.
neighbors.
All right.
Look both ways before
I will
crossing the
expect
street.
you to give us a little bit of an update on when you come back from Burning Man. We want to hear at least a little bit on the show.
Yeah.
That's why I'm gonna try not to die.
Don't get arrested again.
Good plan.
if there's no pics, it didn't happen.
Well, then I guess it didn't happen.
Make sure you lick a bunch of letters while you're out there.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Love you.
See ya, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.